Go ahead. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cruisin the Planet. I'm your host, Ethan Miller. Join with me this episode... I almost closed everything out. Jeez. Join with me this episode is...
Taylor! Cole!
Amazing.
Yes.
So, if y'all didn't know, we can stop that. It is episode 52.
Whoa.
There are 52 weeks in a year, and although I did mess up a couple of numbers when I was counting things out, as Lance had mentioned to us, this is perhaps not exactly a year of the show, but we're just going to act like it is.
Okay.
We're going to celebrate it. I think we missed it maybe back on episode 50 or whatnot, according to, like, chronology and what, but that's whatever.
Well, if you start over and watch one a week in a year, you'll be here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
There you go.
So I figured we'll start off the top with a couple of announcements and whatnot. I was told by Carly, viewers and listeners will know her from our digital media episodes and whatnot, along with videos that we watch, that I stopped saying hello everybody. And so I've added it back in at the beginning of this episode as a hello everybody. So now I just got to keep saying it until it sticks again before I lose it. I think what happened... So this episode is going to be very much a, like, looking back at a lot of our stuff. Right before I have Cole explain Chinese Christmas.
Okay.
So go ahead real quick, and then we can get into all the fun little, like, look-see, back-see stuff.
Okay.
Because I was never explained this.
Okay.
Turns out we don't do Christmas like that at all.
What? Well, your family doesn't do Christmas like that.
No.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well, my family has done it every year, and apparently our boss's family also does it every year. It's where you each get a present within a certain price range. Usually my family, it's $20 to $25. And you get a present, you wrap it, you bring it, and then everyone picks a slip of paper with a number on it out of a hat. And of course the number corresponds to how many people there are. And then whoever's number one gets to pick a present out of the pile first. And then it goes on like that by number, and as people see presents and their number comes up, they can either pick a new present or steal other people's gifts. So if they like, hey, John got a DVD set of all the Harry Potter, and you're like, I want that. You can steal it, but then when your number comes up, but then it can be stolen 2 more times, I think, and then it's dead, so it can't be stolen after that. But it's a fun game. It also, like, fosters competitiveness and such.
I hate it. I think it's actually awful.
Why?
Because it destroys the personal value I put on gifts. I don't give people gifts often.
This is true.
I hold gifts to, like, a very high standard.
Okay, but it also helps with financial, because my family is pretty big, so all you have to do is really buy one present, and everyone still gets something.
Got it.
So it helps financially.
And my response to that, as a very poor boy, is I make my gifts.
Yeah.
Along with that.
Okay.
Make your gifts. Nobody needs anything anymore. Amazon exists. Amazon wish lists exist. Everybody's got jobs. Everybody, like, we're all in the adults level of giving gifts at this point. So whenever you give someone, like, a mug, they're like, that's great, but I have, like, my mug. It's like, awesome. I drink out of a mason jar. Like, I don't need this. So, like, oh, cool. A cutlery set to fit. Like,
well, what if you don't have the skill to make anything, or if your family is so big, you would spend more money making something than just buying one singular gift?
Sounds like you just gotta stop going to Christmas. That's too many people.
I have a lot of close family. What you consider close family? I have 3 siblings, and they all have, like.
That's too many. Cut it off. Start
Kids.
ranking friends and family. You gotta get rid of them.
Yeah.
It's too many people.
Either of you watch The Office?
Yes.
A little
There's
bit.
an episode, where Michael gets the iPod for Ryan.
Oh, yes.
It was a Chinese Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people do Chinese Christmas where they make sure that whatever gift they get, they would want to, just in case none of the other gifts are very good. So people just like, oh, I'm gonna open my gift.
Oh, yeah. And I have to correct myself. It wasn't Chinese Christmas, because I had to remember that was the same episode where gym. Like it was like a secret. It was a secret Santa.
Secret Santa.
That's right. But I
See,
do
that
remember
one
them
makes
sitting
sense
in a
in my
circle.
mind.
Yeah, because
That one works.
Yeah, I tend to like Secret Santa
Mm-hmm.
more. Like if you
This
know
all-
everybody,
yeah.
that's if you know every single person pretty well. Because then I'd hate to get someone who
It's a
I don't
small
know, and
office.
it's like, oh, I gotta like pick around and figure out what they like.
Well,
but
that's why you
I
have those
have
like little sheets of paper you have to fill out with
Yeah,
your
that's
interests
true.
and stuff.
Yeah.
true.
As
This
long as
all
you don't lose
stems
the
because
paper.
Cole is currently working on creating our holiday party
Yeah. Hopefully.
to set things up. Yeah, it's been going a little strange. Classifications
Yes.
and whatnot, all the fun like paperwork that is to be done before someone can partake in a party. Not only during this current year, but it seems that academics really likes to just gum up the works in bureaucracy.
Yeah.
But we'll push aside that because Christmas is long ways away.
It's 36 more days.
That's that actually feels like not that long.
I
when you put it that
know.
way.
It's like barely a month.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Yeah.
Finals are happening soon.
I already
Okay.
took one.
No,
It's
we're not
insane.
talking
So
about
much-
finals.
It's
We're talking about my show.
This is like
hey,
the dark aura
this
just
is my
enveloped
show.
me.
Yeah.
this is my day.
Oh, all right.
This is my show. Jeez.
Yeah.
That'd be so rude. Come in here and listen to what I say. That's basically what I do. I get a captive audience every week to just like go
that's
off
true.
on.
That's true.
I mean, you're not wrong.
We start the. I was making a joke, but whatever. I have a couple of fun bits. I figured that we could start. I wanted to. The original plan for this episode was to go through and talk about every first episode that somebody was on. That was kind of the idea. And finding some sort of funny clip or something that happened during that time to be like, let us remember our goofs in the past. Because this is a pretty silly show.
Yeah.
If I'm completely honest, I think one episode I had a whole 15-minute bit about French fries in like a bag, like
Yes, bag
overfull bag.
fries.
Yeah, you remember that one.
Very important.
And so there was what a terrible scam and a waste. If you're curious, go back and listen to the episode. I'm not gonna do it again. But I figured I could get Brendan, I could get AJ, I could have Cole, I'd have Jake, I'd have everyone come in during their bit, and we do a rotation on the number of people coming in. But everyone has real life jobs and real life responsibilities, not for my silly little show.
Unfortunately, college.
So yeah,
High
college.
turnaround.
real fast turnaround. But I figured we could go and start off at episode 1. Let me crack open
Nostalgia.
this real quick. And if we go over to here, this should work. I don't see why it wouldn't stream it. We are going to need to be quiet while this goes, otherwise we're going to cause an echo.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to... This should work. So that was here, I'll leave it in. Oops. I'll leave that in aux to turn that on.
Wow.
Brilliant.
That was the first ever episode of
Had some
Cruisin the Planet.
technical difficulties.
We had some immediate technical difficulties. In the sense that things were stream's having a little trouble. We'll calm down for a second. That was Brendan and I came up with this concept a long time ago, where we would just have a casual show. I think in the original ending script of like, welcome to Cruisin the Planet. We hope you had a fun time. Yes, the purple pool walking through the window.
Yes, continue. Sorry.
We had
Squirrel.
the idea was that basically we had a casual show that was designed such that people could just come in, walk in whenever they wanted to, and then walk out. We're actually about to crack open that formula. Finally, I'm able to be producer and host well enough that we can rotate people through. We were going to test it today, but obviously things have happened.
That's
With
okay. We're
scheduling,
here for
which is
you.
fine. Thank you very much. You are I've broken this down into 2 parts. We're gonna have the first half where we look at all of the terrible beginnings, because both of you have been within the first 10. I think you specifically, Taylor, had episode 10. That was your first episode. Cole, you were in episode 3. I have a clip that shows that, which we can get to in a bit. The basically though, we're gonna have 2 parts. If you listen in next week, you can catch Carly and Shay and Rissa, because they came in at like episode 30 something, like way past the halfway point. So
first episode veterans.
Exactly. Y'all are the first crew, the first level. And so what I was getting at is the beginning of the show, just pitched a show to Lance like, hey Lance, I want to do a podcast here at the station. And Lance was like, all right, what if we also made it a live stream? And my immediate thought was, oh no, this has already become a bigger production than I wanted it to. And so I'm going to switch this 1 second. So with that, I was looking at some things. I was like, how do I do a live stream? How do I do a show that could be enjoyable, not only in live, and like we've messed it up multiple times. I think episode 1 we broke the audio until I think it was halfway through the episode. I was looking back through trying to pick out clips, but I wanted to show how bad it started off as. And when you picked out the clip, there was an instance of just constant looping, echoing that we didn't even know was happening, because I didn't even know how to use the board well enough to preview what was playing on the computer like I did now, because your boy's learning. He's figuring things out. He's getting there. It started off very amateur, very much just sitting and just being like, all right, Brendan, we have an hour. Let's just chat. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? I think the first way that the show started is like a 6 p.m. show. That's what it was. So Brendan was the NPR host. He was the hosting position. He worked what we do now, where we've split up the responsibilities of on-air hosting. For those who don't know or haven't been told, one of the millions of times that we tell everybody every week is that we are in 90.5 home base, sort of. This board is simultaneously broadcasting. The Wide Orbit channel is playing, I think, random tracks right now. Random tracks hour 1, and then there'll be random tracks hour 2, and then it'll go on to jazz, and then it'll go on to FSN and Think on Thursday. It's a full-on news station that plays jazz music and classical music as well. We just sort of borrow the seat for about an hour, maybe 45 minutes. So I would come in with all of my notes and stuff prepared as soon as Brendan was done doing the 4 to 6 afternoon segment of All Things Considered, and as soon as possible, as soon as I could get off the clock, I would run in here and like set up the whole thing, and then he would go and like grab food or coffee, and then we'd come back in and we just have a blast. We just talk about whatever it was. Genuinely wish that he didn't find his calling sooner so that he could like stay with us, because we at one time we had it was an FCC event. That's what it was. There was the local radio hosting. Cole, do you remember this? When all the kids came in.
Oh, FFA?
FFA, that's right. Not FCC.
Yes, FFA came in, and he was a major part of that. He was
a major part of that, and like straight off afterwards, he was like entirely different, because he was like, I think I found my thing, which is like helping kids with like this agricultural stuff. And I was just like, you do it, man. He's like, and I'm quitting the radio station to pursue it. And I was like, no, do not leave me.
He was a great guy, and he had a really good show.
He had a really good show that he did. He had a really good voice.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, we were buddies.
I remember when he first came in the station, because I had heard his voice over the phone, because I was doing some calls even at that time to try to figure out when people were going to be here and everything, and his voice is so deep. I did not expect
the man that was in front of you
and be like, so small.
That was his thing, though. He loved it.
But
he capitalized on it.
It was great.
He capitalized on the ability to just sort of walk in and be like, hey everybody, how are we doing? Like,
he was so nice.
I can't do his voice justice. Nice. Super nice. He had like these crazy radical opinions compared to the way that he looked and the people he hung out with.
For sure.
He's like the leftist of the friend group. Really, really fun. Genuinely an enjoyable person to be around. At one point I accidentally cursed him by introducing him to Warhammer 40K for he was going to do his own podcast.
Right.
When he started to push off from station responsibilities. Cole, you made the
graphic, yes.
Yeah, the graphic for it. It was going to be called Lore Library.
I edited 2 episodes of the show.
Huh?
he had 2 episodes. I edited them.
Yeah, it was,
It was
Star
pretty
Wars.
good. Yeah, it was like digging deeper into it.
That was the whole concept. We
Explaining.
had this really interesting idea we created. Aside from this show, like I had Cruising the Planet was kind of thing. I'm the host and producer of the show, as well as like the manager for the entire podcast network. We started that podcast as well. Let me pull up Spreaker real quick to peep some numbers, if the keyboard would work. But as I was working on this show and figuring out like bits to add, things to retract, what was the general gist of the show, he was like kind of working on his own thing, and he started working at like Lore Library, and then the pandemic hit,
Right.
and there was just no way of getting him back in.
Yeah.
Oh, Black Friday sale, thanks.
Yeah.
But oh look, there's the terrible robot. If anyone knows who Lava V is, could you please cut it out?
It's really messing with their numbers.
It's
What?
not.
What?
If you look at the numbers real quick, you'll see
There's like a
downloads.
skyrocket of
Peel back
downloads
on
on
the
one day.
curtain. Taylor, if you peek over here, you'll notice we're in the normal download days, and then you get this one. And
Goodness.
yeah, we go to sources real quick. It's 252 by Lov F, which is basically a very like complicated thing library that's used for muxing and demuxing audio. I could get into the technical side of it, but there's no need to. It's fine. November 18th, we had quite a good amount of downloads. Something happened. Awesome. Anyways, if we look back into the show, you'll notice we have a ton of shows now.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we started, it was just Cruisin the Planet and Tarleton Radio Network, I believe. Those were the 2 that we create. No, we created that later. No, I'm sorry.
Radio Network.
Tarleton Radio Network was the first podcast we created, because that was a catch-all feed that we designed to get every single thing pieced together from
But that's a feed
our
in
old
itself.
stuff.
It's not like a podcast. It's not like a podcast in itself. It's just where we put our podcast.
Yes, and it's all of the old episodes from our previous hosting site. I think we used Podbean.
Yes, Podbean.
So we took everything from Podbean, brought it over to Spreaker, and then created Cruisin the Planet. And then I think what was next was
Politics.
On Politics was next, or Planetary Overload.
I think it was On Politics.
I think On Politics, then
and then
Planetary.
Planetary.
On Politics was next, and Planet. Those were both very close together.
Yes, they were.
And Planetary On Politics is with Eric Morrow. Began off as just called On Politics.
It
right?
was Cogley and Morrow On Politics.
That's what it was. We had Dr. Morrow and Dr. Cogley work together, and then I think. Yeah, Dr. Cogley went over up to DC to help with the Trump administration work on their like next campaign for this election. And let's not move into that. That's a whole bag of beans that's still being unraveled. But it's now currently On Politics with Eric Morrow's show, and that it gets all of these feeds that come out get wrapped into Tarleton Radio Network's feeds. You have Planetary Overload, which was AJ's show, and I actually have a little clip to show AJ if I can get it to work. The funny thing about AJ's episode, however, is that I was not on that episode.
That was crazy. I did not realize you were not on
Cole
that.
just realized I have not been on every single episode of Cruisin the Planet.
You haven't been on one, right?
I think that's it.
That's it. Just one.
I missed episode 2.
So this is your year then.
After this one, I've been doing it for an entire year.
Right.
No, I missed it, and AJ and Brendan had to piece the episode together while I think I was in either a lab or I was sick. There was something where I just could not be into the studio. And this was before we had the ability to like Zoom in and do all of those interviews during the pandemic, when I got like one-on-one interviews with all of y'all. This was a situation of like was not able to. And if we crack this link open real quick at right in here, the camera starts working because they couldn't get the camera to work for some reason. They were having issues with it. I think I'm gonna do this properly. Yeah, they're talking about coffee at the time. That was their thing. And then they fixed it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm just
The sunglasses that Brendan is wearing.
Yeah, you can hear his voice now.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's Brendan right there and AJ.
I know it hits you.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
I hope that everything is working for everyone to hear what they're doing, but basically they were having trouble connecting to the podcast. Was not, or the live stream section of it. The podcast was working fine. They were getting the audio to work, but they were having trouble with the camera, and so they just were doing their entire episode for the longest time in what was it? Just that black screen with the old KXTR logo, and then like 19 minutes into the show, right before they were caught up, because I think they had to do we had to do shorter episodes in the beginning.
Yep.
We could only go to like 45 minutes because no one wanted to be here after like 7. And then I just come in and they were like, Ethan, something broke. We could not get anything fixed or finished on that episode, and it was a fine episode audio wise. Everything was great. They got rid of the echo problem that we had in episode 1. Very funnily enough, in episode 3, which was Cole, that was your first debut. Was Cole's episode number 3. The echo came back, so I'm the reason that their audio has always been terrible. Makes sense. AJ was Taylor's position at the time, the digital production producer, just
production.
Just production.
I don't really know.
it was always audio production.
Yeah.
And so we were. I lost my train of thought. AJ knew how to fix the audio, but he didn't understand the video aspect of it, I don't think. These webcams are very finicky, and I have spent a year figuring them out such that they do exactly what we need them to do. But at the time, nobody knew anything about them, and so there was no way to be able to help fix any of it. But I think it was a fine enough episode for episode 2, because everyone literally starts in a pile of mud and builds their way up from there.
Yeah, I think when people think or conceptualize podcasts, they think it's just 2 people or 2 or more, a person talking to a mic and just randomly talking about things. They think their conversation is funny, and what Lance always talks about when you're looking at podcasts is you really have to do a lot of prep work.
Yes.
It's kind of insane the amount of prep work you have to do for a podcast to sit for half an hour to an hour to talk about one specific thing, especially if you have guests to try to also manage at the same time.
Yes, thank you for noticing how difficult it is for me to wrangle these cats every single week.
Me being one of those cats.
Yeah. Never intended to talk about skincare for the back half of an episode, Taylor.
You are welcome.
But I didn't say, never mind.
Well, I'm just saying you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes.
What can I say?
You're welcome. Yeah, that was good.
Chills.
Yep. Chills of disgust. No.
No.
But what Cole was talking about when it came to notes, at the time my notes were by no means structured. These notes that I take every single week to prep for the show have changed almost every single week up until I would say the pandemic ended, or not the pandemic ended, but rather like lockdown ended.
Right, quarantine,
because every single week we had some new thing we wanted to try. And because we had literally nobody listening, there's no risk. It's not like we were going to lose people for listening to whatever it was. And so I remember that at one point we had a wheel that we would spin.
I liked the wheel, but mostly just for the
click clacks of it spinning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one was fun. The wheel episodes we had. The only issue being
that back this episode.
I bet it was really fun.
The wheel's breaking though. I don't want to keep using it.
Yeah, we really need to get a new wheel. That's something we need to discuss with Lance, actually.
Oh, definitely. Because right now we use a business card to hold it together. And I
Yeah.
think Taylor, yesterday, you saw that one of the little pegs is missing.
Yeah, I kind of patched the eraser back together. It fell apart.
Oh jeez.
The poor wheel.
Yeah.
Poor wheel.
We use that
Good
wheel almost every week, if not multiple times a week, if we go to different events during the semester, and that's what we use to give out our cool promo items. So if you ever see a table with a wheel on it and it's all purple, it's probably us.
Yeah, it also says like KXTR 100% the planet.
Yeah, that too.
On our big little flag piece. I don't think we ever explained the flag actually. I just realized the one that we hang up.
Oh,
in the
yes.
back.
I don't even know.
So Cruisin the Planet is, if we look at in the names of the episodes, if we go in here real fast, here's all of my terrible naming and organization. But if we go to the very first episode, it's called The Return ? And that specifically references the fact that this show was stolen from a group of previous hosts. You got a phone call?
No, you're good.
All right.
So sorry about that.
What was it?
It was an alarm.
You gotta go get somebody?
No. It was
Okay.
an alarm from like a previous week that I forgot
Oh.
to take off. Sorry.
All right. If we look at the name of episode 1, it's called The Return with a question, and that alludes to the fact that this show used to be a radio show hosted by a whole different crew at the station, like probably two crews before Cole even started here.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Cole, out of the current like station staff and crew, I always like to say crew because I like to think of the station as a spaceship. It's a little bit of a personal
The
thing.
planet.
Exactly. Like it's all space themed. Everything we do when it comes to making graphics has a galaxy background. But
I love it.
Cole is the
I have
oldest
tattooed a galaxy on my body now.
the oldest group of the crew. These people were here even before you were working, I think. It was an
Yes.
on-air
Yes, for sure.
show that they had guests come in and they talked about a bunch of segments and it had a bunch of production and it eventually became like a part of their job. They had this big local show that was going on and Lance already had the flag for it. So I was talking with him and I was like, all right, what do we have this idea of a show and he's like, I want to bring it back. This goes all the way back to like, I just want to do a podcast. It's like pretty casual. Everyone's hanging out. Like people can come and go. And he's like, I want you to remake Cruisin the Planet. Quite a daunting task if you ask me. But a year later, and we're doing pretty all right.
We're doing
I
all
would
right.
say. We're okay.
We're okay.
All right, Spreaker, I know there's a sale. Let me just do my show. If we go through like some of these episodes and whatnot, there's let's see. I believe the audio is finally fixed for the most part after episode 5. The carnival comes into town. That was last year when the carnival came in. So I guess officially a year would happen right before the carnival shows up. Which is like a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, it was a little while
So
ago.
we've taken a little bit of time to get things figured out. However, I mean, goodness, I think some of these are just funny looking back through these, because if we go to like spring break in episode 16, everyone left for spring break. It was just me and Jake, and I was talking to him and I was like, hey man, like spring break's gonna be pretty cool. Everyone's gonna head out and stuff. There'll be a bunch of fun activities, but you and me are just kind of stuck here. And then episode 17 was like 3 days before the quarantine hit. And Lance actually came on the show for the first time. It was episode 17 and we called
I
it
did not realize this.
Yeah, me either.
yeah, we called the episode KTR Lysol, like Lysol, because at the time the Lysol wipes were hard to get
Yeah.
during all of Walmart. Yeah, everything was just difficult to grab, and so we had another spring break based episode. Is kind of what happened, and then the next 2 uploads you'll see is COVID-19 updates in the show where we had President Hurley update the students and the faculty and staff. And then we just started going into episode 18 through, I think, 20, let's see. Yeah, through like 29, sorry. Episode 18 through 29. So like a whole 11 episodes series, like 11 weeks, basically, was just online interviews. No one was allowed back into the station. No one was allowed to come back or forth. It was just me calling people and talking over a Zoom meeting in the lobby, actually, because we couldn't get Zoom to work as a recording, and so none of those episodes were ever live streamed even. And I think that's where things started to break down a little bit on my end. I know for a fact at one point I was like, this is just not fun.
Yeah.
There was a very I mean, everyone as soon as I opened the Zoom meeting, how are you doing? They're like, terrible. And I was like, that's really not what I need right now. Because I'm locked in a room that at the time
it was hard.
It was very difficult. Montana's wouldn't let me work because they couldn't pay me at the time.
Yeah.
So I was just working here. And then like classes were all crazy, and I was moving my way out of engineering at the same time. And so there was a level of like I have nothing all day because like I'm not going outside. I had just gotten my crazy mask in too.
Yeah.
The like painter's mask.
Yeah.
So there was like very much the real upside was the fact that I got to park in the blue parking lot. That was fun.
Yeah, we got to park anywhere.
Real privileges.
Awesome, nice.
It was rough on everyone.
But yeah, for I think 12 weeks was about it when it really hit bad. I think on like episode 20. I don't know if I feel like there was a way that the audience can hear or see that I was just like, all right, cool, like whatever, man. It's just we just live in a haze, because I would see nobody during the day other than my roommates, and even then they were like, had very little going on. Everyone was just locked down, right? But even the chance to go outside and talk was just not there.
Yeah, I straight up quarantined, like did not leave my apartment. We did so many puzzles and baking and everything. We were bored.
Then
after a while.
Episode 29 on 6/11/2020. Everyone was back in the station. We had all new rules on who was going where. Everything was going great. We had like a genuine return to an enjoyable experience where I had people like to talk to in person. I think basically the next week after that was just
there was a high that happened.
Yeah, I was like, we're just gonna talk about. I know at one point it went so off the rails that episode 32, me and Cole specifically talked just about the femme fatale. Like the concept of a femme fatale, and Lance was like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's not my show, actually. Why am I talking about that specifically? And it was like the tragedy of the character and all of these things.
Yeah.
Very much was just like, why am I talking about this? This is not how the show works. Because then I go on to talk like online gaming and toxic players with Jake, episode 33. I think very much at the time, the media I was listening to not forced me, but like, I don't know, Taylor
affected your show.
We've talked about this a bit for music. I talked with you or Rissa about this because y'all are the same person. The music you listen to affects the music you make. Sort of a level of like consumption.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So I think all of the constant media that I was taking into consuming at the time, during the quarantine period, definitely affected the show.
Oh yeah.
In a huge way, I feel it definitely broke things down. But then, episode 37, Taylor joined the game.
Hey.
Taylor, I have a curious suspicion because, and this will be our last little bit, because I gotta we have our engineer in the station today. He's fixing things for the actual real radio station, the one that pays the bills. Episode 37, you come in, and we talked about Rate My Campus. And then, just recently on our YouTube channel, got a very, very long comment.
Yeah.
Not relating to us, not relating to the video, not relating to the conversation. It was an upstate New York.
Yeah.
Loved the interaction. It was very obvious that the person needed to get something off their chest, and so I'm very glad that they were able to come here and talk to us about it, listener. If you happen to be here again on this commemoration episode, but I do personally think that it was Taylor.
Oh, it was not.
100%.
Did you make a whole new account, like new location, all that?
No, it was not me. But I did find it funny. They obviously did not said professor, and every sentence started with said professor, blah 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 blah. Said professor, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Hey, but I mean, it's a good comment. I mean, there are comments.
Exactly.
Comments are good.
Comics.
Yeah.
The
algorithm doesn't read what you write.
Love the interaction. Yeah. So that was good for us.
Yeah, we like novels.
All right,
maybe a little bit more positive.
Come on, chill out.
But it was good.
Yeah, they were able.
I got some interaction for you.
They were able
You're
to.
welcome.
Thank you for creating a fake account. No,
Yeah, you're
the
welcome.
person who sent that comment, very glad that they were able to get whatever they needed to get off their chest. I like to think of this as a bit of a catharsis sometimes on this show, where I can yell about French fries or frogs or whatever it is that I have, training wasps, stuff like that.
Oh my god.
The fact that Chinese Christmas is rude. You know,
Rude.
Can be
gotta
fun.
let it out.
Fun.
No, not when I've
fine.
not
Let's
when I
two
have
against one, so,
hand painted a.
I mean, nothing beats handmade like crafts tailored for you. You know.
That's what I make.
agree with you, but you Chinese Christmas.
Yeah, I'm here.
can
I'm
be
here.
fun.
Hang on. You agree with me, but then you said but.
How
So
about
do you
and?
agree with me?
I do agree with you. I also agree with Cole.
But we are opposing.
No. I think both are fun. Yours is like sentimental value,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cole's is like it's fun, it's engaging, and it's a good budget.
Yeah.
And there's still thought because you still have to think like, will somebody want this? Will someone like this? Or you can even pick someone knowing that someone's gonna steal it or wanna steal it. Like if they
That's
got the
true.
Harry Potter movies, knowing that somebody in the room really wants them, and you low-key wanted to get them a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Then you get the whole thing where you steal for other people.
Yeah.
And then they just switch with you at the end.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a very cool strategy game at the same time. It's like fun competition.
I've been thinking about it the whole time. I was both right at the office thing because it was supposed to be Secret Santa, and then they turned it into Chinese Christmas.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah, that's
remember it was
right.
like Toby or somebody who ended up with
Yeah.
it. Okay, I feel better now.
Yep.
Okay, office people don't come at me.
Full circle. We fixed it at the end.
Yeah, we're good.
I think that we're gonna shut it down for now, because we do have to let the man who has a real job back into here. But the episode right afterwards, 38,
Yeah.
was Rissa,
Ooh.
her first episode.
Aw.
So I'm gonna shut things down here on this end. But the spoilers to come for next week, if y'all have little to do during final study and need another 1 hour thing, we're going to talk to Rissa, Shay, and Carly. Shay is currently in quarantine, unfortunately, so we're going to figure out how to get her on a Zoom meeting. But in the studio, we'll have Rissa, we'll have Carly, and it's only going to be talking about everything that happened from then, moving forwards into the new crew, and a bunch of fun stuff. This was a bit more somber, a bit more the basics and where this show sort of came from. Everything that we all kind of went through together to try and keep the show up and running. Next week, it'll be a lot more fun.
Fun.
I know
Good.
Taylor was falling
Glad you
asleep
brought us
halfway
yeah, not
through.
fun.
A little bit. But it was good.
Taylor was falling asleep, I could tell.
Yeah, a little bit. But I did not know the thing about the flag.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah, that's right.
That was my favorite part. Yeah.